like a really nice day so far. Blue skies, temperature's all right. I want to talk about a little bit about fuel mileage. Now, this is a 97 379 extended hood, dragging a dry box behind it. Been doing it for a while. It's got a 3406E in it, 18 speed, and 355 rear gears. Now, I filled up last night, ended up getting 5 miles to the gallon. I know a lot of people, 379, that's not that bad. Well, probably about 2 fill-ups before that, I got 6.8 miles to the gallon. The difference though, not so much in weight, but wind. Now, the 6.8, I was getting a nice tailwind. I was also kind of losing elevation as I was going to the destination. The 5.0, well, I had a pretty good stiff freaking headwind, about 25-30 miles an hour, and a lot of hills and stuff, plus the load was, probably 10,000 pounds heavier. So, there's that. Now, load weight really doesn't factor in as much as some people think it does. I've read a couple of studies put out by, one of them was put out, I think, by the Canadian DOT, and there was a couple other studies from like Washington State or something like that. But they all said that 75% roughly, they pretty much all agreed that 75% of a truck's power is actually used to overcome the aerodynamic drag, and load weight only plays 25% of the part in it. So, I mean, yeah, you'll get a little bit of, you got a little less weight, you're gonna get a little bit better fuel mileage, but it's more the wind and how aerodynamic your truck is. Now, well, obviously, this is a 379, she ain't that aerodynamic. Now, of course, I don't know if y'all can see it, but there's a cab over just a little bit, a couple of trucks ahead of me. Well, obviously that thing's less aerodynamic, maybe, than this thing. I'm not entirely sure about that, but anywho, there's ways to help to get better fuel mileage, and a lot of it, especially in a truck like this, is all a driver. I mean, the truck's only going to do so much. It's all the driver. It's how you get on the pedal, how hard you're on the pedal, things like that. And if I had one of the roof toppers like that guy did going westbound, that'd be useful, but I don't. And anywho, squirrel, but like I'm going through Iowa right now. I got 44,000 in the box. The wind, it's not very strong. It's coming out of the south. It's not too bad. Now, I'm trying to do 65, but that's not going to happen going up these hills. Going up the hills, I'm only getting the truck to about 15 pounds of boost going up the hill in 18th gear, top gear, road gear, whatever you want to call it. And, until it gets down to about 55, I don't go over 15 pounds of boost. And when it gets to 55, I only go to about 17 pounds of boost. Other than that, as soon as I get to the top of the hill, I'm off the pedal again, and I let gravity do the work. Let it get herself back up to 65. And that right there does a lot on keeping that mileage up. Of course, a lot of people are like, it's a 379, why do you care? Well, I don't own the truck, it's a company truck, and it helps me getting a little bit better mileage, putting a couple more Franklins in my pocket at the end of the week or whatever, because I got a little fuel bonus thing going want to show you the gauges. I'm not going to hold the phone while I'm driving down the road. It's mounted on my little mount, and you can just watch the scenery go by. And that's mostly pretty much all there is as far as getting fuel mileage. It's watching your gauges. I know a lot of people say it, a lot of old timers will tell you it, and they're, I mean, obviously they know what they're talking about. They've been around longer. But that's really all it is. I mean, if you got a truck that's got your pyro and your freaking boost and temp gauge and all that things, use them. Look at them. Pay attention to them. Bob Spooner, he says the same thing. You know, you talk to him. If you listen to some of his channels, I think Big Rig Videos did an interview with him, and he says a lot of the same stuff. And I've actually seen Bob's truck going down the road a couple times out there by North Platte. It's a pretty nice peep, but getting off subject there a little. But yeah. Now, I mean, I've drove other trucks because, as I said, I'm a company driver, and they got a couple other trucks now. You know, I've drove a 08 Cascadia, and I've drove a T600, and I've drove a 97 Freightliner Classic. Now, you know, as much as I don't like that damn Cascadia, with all the emissions and the damn problems that it keeps giving, which is most of the reason why I'm driving this truck right now, because it's screwed up with the emissions again. But that truck is a lot easier because it's an aerodynamic, it's an aero truck as they call it, you know. So it's a way lot easier to get better fuel mileage. You can drive faster in the heavier winds and still get, you know, decent fuel mileage out of it, even with 40-something thousand pounds on the box. So I like that because it makes my life easier. I can drive faster and still get decent enough fuel mileage that the boss man's not mad. But now that truck, I've hit 8 miles to the gallon in that truck a couple of times. 7s pretty regularly. Most of the time don't get much below 6 in that truck. Obviously, as I said earlier, this truck, I've gotten 5 miles to the gallon. I've gotten less than 5 miles to the gallon. And about 6, 8 is pretty much about as high as I think I've ever gotten in this truck. And you know, I run a lot of the same routes with a lot of the same load. So the differences between them is pretty, there is not a massive difference, but you know, that gallon per mile, gallon and a half per mile, it adds up. I'm pretty sure if I was an owner operator and paying the bill, I'd see it as a massive difference. But yeah, you know, just taking it easy on the pedal. You know, don't just sit there dogging on the hell out of it. If your temp gauge starts rising on your pyro and your water temp starts going up and your boost is sitting at 15, 20 pounds of boost all damn day, well, don't expect to be getting very good fuel mileage. So what I do is when I accelerate in this truck, I don't hardly ever take this truck above 15 pounds of boost accelerating. And yes, it takes a while to get the damn thing going down the road when doing that. You know, that's just how it is, but that's how you get the mileage. And I don't really go much over 65 in this truck at all, unless I got a good tailwind. And then I may do 70 miles an hour. Because I know with a good tailwind, I can do 70 and still get probably 5.5. Well, actually with a good tailwind, I can do 70 and probably still get 6 miles to the gallon in this thing. Now, with the that just idling it at just 500 or whatever like that is hell on an engine. It creates acid and shit and tear up your damn pistons and liners and all that crap. It's horrible. You really need a high idle if you're going to idle a truck through the night. But if you're going to idle a truck through the night, especially a truck like this, you're probably looking, like I said, a gallon an hour burn rate. So that's, you know, say you take your 10 and you run that thing for the full 10 hours. Well, that's, you know, obviously 10 gallons that you didn't go down the road using at all, and you just sat there burning it and going nowhere. So that's going to really screw up your fuel mileage somewhat. Now, you know, a lot of people say, 10 gallons, that doesn't really matter. That's not going to do a whole lot. Well, I don't think porky pig there, but it does. You do the math, it's very simple. 600 divided by 100, obviously that's 6, right? Well, 600 divided by 110, I've done it before, it's 5.5, so that 10 gallons makes a half a mile per gallon difference. If you can still manage to get 6 miles a gallon the next day going down the road, maybe you get better, and then you can average out and still get really good mileage. But if you got the headwind and all that other stuff, and it's, you know, working against you, it's not going to end well. You're going to get less. So, you know, a lot of this is not really new. A lot of people have things on YouTube talking about it. So, but I just figured I'd throw my 2 cents into it. If you don't want to listen to it, well, you don't have to click on the channel, or you can turn the volume down and just stare at the scenery. What makes America great is